Alright, welcome back to another web design and web development tutorial. Today I'm going to take a little bit of a different tact. I'm just going to discuss something real quick that I've seen. Um, in fact, it came up today in a review of a design that we've been doing, and just something I've noticed in my own work and something I've also noticed as I've dealt with other websites and responsive design. So I have a little mock-up here of just kind of an article type page. We have a short paragraph here, and then we have another section with a lot longer section or paragraphs. Now this is all responsive, and I haven't really done anything to it. HTML is just sort of responsive on its own, but I'm looking down here at like 350 pixels wide, and this is going to be this is probably your normal phone size here. What is it? About 400 pixels, somewhere between there and 450 is going to be your average size phone these days. It could be smaller or larger. But one thing that I notice is these large chunks of text here. You see this? It doesn't normally, it doesn't look that bad, but if I'm gonna read all of this text, I think I don't want it to be centered. And I'll show you what it looks like if we don't center it. And so this is what it all looks like on a small phone size whenever you don't center the text. And you see these large blocks of text, they have the rag right, which is a normal in Western culture. You have a hard line on the left, a hard margin, and then you have the rag right. That's something we're accustomed to. All the books that we read, everything else comes at us in that particular format. They don't center align large blocks of text in a book, and for good reason. I mean, I think I just showed you that this brings some more clarity to it. But what happens is, when you get out here, maybe people don't want to left align everything. Maybe they want to center things, and honestly it's just easier to text align, center everything, and make it feel like, oh, we're centering things, we're keeping it fresh, we're not having to make too many changes to the code. But I would tell you that because the phone has such a hard edge here and there's not much going on, like there's rarely going to be a lot of space over here to set off the centering. When you have large blocks of text, you should make them left aligned on a mobile site. And I'm going to show you a couple of different examples. I'm going to show you these things up here because where I see it a lot is in larger blocks of text that they're centered in a big like in a big design. You'd have a large heading and that's centered, and then maybe a smaller like subhead that's centered, but it's a little bit longer content, and then after that you begin your content. I'll tell you that it's going to look better like this, and then maybe once you get out here, maybe you can do some centering. So let's say app media, and maybe a min width of 600 pixels. Then you take main. Actually, we'll take all the header elements, and then we'll text align to the center. And so at that point, you see you're here with your left align, things are doing well, and then all of a sudden you start to text align to the center, and you feel how this feels okay because of all this space out here, right? There's no left edge that's making it feel weird. But when there's a left edge there, it feels kind of weird to me. Like this feels kind of weird because it's butted up to the edge, but it's also center aligned, which makes a really steep triangular shape. Maybe I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel very right to me. But when you get out here, now things feel a little bit better because there's a less of a butting up against. There's more space out here, even on the top. And so that's dealing with the heading text. Here it's just easier to read it. because it's such a hard left edge, and you're not ever going to get like a big space out here on mobile because we're all trying to maximize this space. So for me, aligning left on the mobile device is a lot better, especially when you have big blocks of text like this. Now if we take away some of the longer paragraphs and then we align center, it doesn't feel too bad with this text down here, but still you can see it just kind of feels weird, right? It feels weird that that would be center aligned. This is a strange shape to me. And sometimes you get these weird shapes like this that, you know, they're kind of hourglass shaped. They're very strange. And it doesn't necessarily make it more difficult for me to read because I've gotten accustomed to it, but that doesn't mean that we can't do better. And so if we just take off the text align of center, then we get this nice edge, and it makes this block of text a lot easier to read. And then if we just put a little a max width of, let's say, 600 pixels and a margin of auto, and then when we come out, we can see that we can keep either one. So we got a nice centering here. You know, this is not a bad shape because there's a lot of space out here. So that makes these things not quite so bad. Here we could do that, or we could actually text align the center here, and it doesn't look as bad as it does whenever you have such a big globby block of text here. So the shape is a little nicer, and it's organic, but we have all this space to work with too. So if you're going to have a block of text be centered, it actually makes more sense to use a small block of text, maybe, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 or 6 lines centered, but to go ahead and center all of these is going to feel a little weird. So this here, you're getting more kind of weird shapes here, right? And these are just not normal shapes that we're accustomed to. So when you start looking at center aligned big blocks of text, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to me whenever you can just left align it like this, and you've got a nice reading experience, and you can still center align your headings. That's very common in a book. Or you could take off the center align and you could just make everything aligned to the left. You still have this nice line out here, so to left align everything is okay, and to center align everything is okay too, because now we have all this nice space out here so that our center alignment feels a little bit more natural and regular in the middle of the page. So just a little something I've noticed in responsive design. I've actually been thinking a lot about something called redaptive design, which is like a responsive and adaptive design together, where you make decisions for changing the layout, not just shifting the elements up and down or next to each other, but really shifting the way that the user experiences the website from, you know, a different media query viewpoints. Viewport widths. So that's a little something I've been playing with about how we can take the same elements between desktop and mobile, and we can use them and use CSS in order to recreate them so that the user can experience them in different ways, because some things are just inherently easier to do whenever you have a mobile phone, but when they expand out, you know, it's not as intuitive or easy to do with the mouse. And vice versa. Some things that are easy and intuitive to do with a mouse are just not as easy and intuitive, or they're not really a mobile pattern. So combining both mobile patterns with larger desktop patterns and using the same underlying HTML, or even substituting through media queries, hiding and showing different elements, but it's the same information. So you're not changing up the information, you're just changing the format in which you deliver it to the user so that the user can experience it in a way that's more appropriate for the device. So right now we're good at squeezing things down and getting it all on the page and presenting it in a way that's better, but can we help the user interact with our content in a way that's better per device? So just something I've been thinking about, and this is just one that came up today, so that's why it's at the front of my mind. If you have any questions or thoughts about it, just leave them down in the comments below and I'll get to them. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to the comments quickly, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Is this something that's bothered you or something you've ever thought about? And if so, it's awesome. If not, maybe this is an opportunity to look a little bit more deeply at how responsive web design changes the page and how we perceive or how clear the information is to read when you change it just a little bit like that. All right, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.